For as long as humans have gathered around fires to share stories, tales of strange creatures and mysterious forces have filled the night air. Myths and legends, born from the depths of our fears and the edges of our imagination, have travelled through the generations, becoming woven in the fabric of our cultures. These stories are not just tales of the past. They continue to capture the collective curiosity, even in our modern world. But where do these stories come from? Are they merely the products of superstition and fear? Or do they hint at something more? Something lurking just out of sight, waiting to be discovered? Across the world, every culture has its own legends of cryptids and mythical beings. Creatures that defy explanation, that blur the line between myth and reality. In the misty highlands of Scotland, there are whispers of water horses that lure the unweary away to a watery grave. In the dense forests of Appalachia, people speak of a man-sized bird with glowing red eyes, an omen of disaster. And in the remote corners of the world, there are still those who claim to have seen monsters from the ancient past. This journey will take us deep into the heart of these legends, across the oceans and continents, through space and time, to places where the veil between the known and the unknown is thin. We will explore the stories that have terrified and fascinated generations. Join us as we delve into the world of local myths and cryptids, where every shadow hides a secret, and every whisper carries a warning. From the eerie waters of Loch Ness to the haunted forests of Scandinavia, from the desolate plains of Africa to the mountains of Japan. These are the stories that have stood the test of time, that continue to haunt our dreams and fuel our fears. This is a journey into the unknown, where the myth meets reality, and the line between the two is often blurred. Welcome to the world of myths and cryptids. The Orkney Islands, a place where the boundary between the natural and the supernatural is thin, where ancient stones whisper forgotten secrets, and the sea harbours creatures beyond our understanding. Among these islands, one name strikes fear into the hearts of those who hear it: Nuckelavee. The Nuckelavee is no ordinary beast. Born from the darkest corners of Orcadian folklore, it is a creature of pure malevolence, a monstrous fusion of man and horse. With skinless raw flesh that seeps with the corruption it brings, this abomination is not just feared for its appearance, but for the death and disease that follows in its wake. Legend has it that the Nuckelavee was once confined to the sea, but something, perhaps a curse or a broken pact, drove it onto land, where it became a scourge upon the living. Its breath is said to wilt crops, its touch to spread plague, and wherever it went, it only left suffering in its path. For the people of Orkney, the Nuckelavee is not just a story, but a very real threat. In the long dark winters, when the sea churned angrily against the cliffs, the old tales would come alive. Families would huddle close, telling and retelling the story of Tamas, the lone farmer who came face to face with the beast. It was a night much like this one, dark with a cold wind blowing in from the sea. Tamas was returning home from his work in the fields when he felt it. A presence behind him. At first he thought it was just the wind, but when he heard it, the sound of hooves, heavy and slow, and the stench that came with it, like something long dead. Tamas knew in the stories, knew that the Nuckelavee could not be outrun. It was a creature of pure evil, relentless in its pursuit. But Tamas also knew of one weakness: fresh water. With the beast closing in, he made for the nearest stream, praying it would be enough to save him. The Nucklevee's hatred of fresh water is a curious detail, one that scholars believe may hint at its origins. In many cultures, water is a symbol of purification and life, a force that repels evil. Perhaps the Nuckelavee, a creature born of death and decay, could not endure the purity of the fresh stream. But whatever the reason, Tamas's quick thinking saved his life that night, and his story has served as a warning to all that hear it. They say the Nuckelavee is still out there, waiting for the right moment to rise again. So remember, when the nights are long and the winds are cold, keep close to the hearth, and always be wary of what may be lurking in the shadows. Deep in the heart of the Scottish Highlands lies the body of water unlike any other, Loch Ness, a vast dark expanse that stretches for 23 miles. Loch Ness has long been a place of mystery and legend. Beneath its tranquil surface, locals and visitors alike believe something ancient and elusive lurks, a creature known around the world as the Loch Ness Monster. The legend of the Loch Ness Monster, or Nessie as it is also known, has captured the imagination of millions. But this is no modern myth. Stories of a strange beast in Loch Ness date back nearly 1500 years, to the time of the early Christian missionary, St. Columba. It was in the year 656 AD when St. Columba is said to have encountered a water beast in the River Ness, a creature that threatened to devour a local man. With a simple command, Columba is said to have driven the beast away, marking it the first recorded sighting of the Loch Ness Monster. For centuries, the story of the Loch Ness Monster remained part of local folklore, whispered among the people of the Highlands. But it wasn't until the 20th century, with the advent of modern technology and media, that Nessie would become a global phenomenon. The year was 1933, when the modern legend truly began. George Splicer and his wife, driving along the newly completed road beside Loch Ness, reported seeing a large prehistoric-looking creature crossing in front of their car, before disappearing into the loch. Their account, followed by numerous others, sparked a media frenzy and the world's enduring obsession with Nessie. But it was this photograph, taken by London gynaecologist Robert Kenneth Wilson, that truly cemented Nessie's place in popular culture. Though the surgeon's photograph would later be revealed as a hoax, it captured the imagination of millions and remains one of the most famous images associated with the Loch Ness Monster. Over the decades, countless expeditions have been launched to uncover the truth about the Loch Ness Monster. From sonar scans to underwater photography, each effort has added to the mystique of Loch Ness, but the creature itself remains elusive as ever. Despite the advances in technology, Loch Ness guards its secrets well. The Loch is nearly 800 feet deep, and its waters are murky, filled with peat, making it difficult to see more than a few feet below the surface. It's the perfect hiding place for a creature of legend. So what could Nessie be? Some believe it's a surviving plesiosaurus, a marine reptile from the age of the dinosaurs. Others suggest it could be a giant eel, a misidentified wave pattern, or even a mass hallucination, fueled by the power of suggestion. Yet despite the theories, the mystery remains unsolved. For many, Nessie is more than just a legend. It's a symbol of the unknown, a reminder that there are still mysteries in the world that science has yet to explain. The Loch Ness Monster embodies the human desire to believe in the extraordinary, to find wonder in a world increasingly defined by rationality and reason. Perhaps that's why, despite its scepticism, despite the hoaxes and the failed expeditions, people continue to come to Loch Ness. They come in search of a glimpse of the unknown, a chance to connect with something ancient, something mysterious, something that has eluded us for centuries. Whether Nessie is real or simply a product of our imagination, the Loch Ness Monster will continue to haunt the depths of our collective consciousness, a symbol of the mysteries that still exist in our world. And as long as there are those who believe, Nessie will never truly disappear. Scotland's lochs are places of serene beauty, but beneath their calm surfaces, ancient forces are said to dwell. Of all of the creatures in Scottish folklore, there are few as feared or as deceptive as the Kelpie, the shape-shifting water spirit that lures the unwary into a watery grave. Kelpies are not just stories meant to entertain. They are warnings passed down through generations about the dangers of the lochs and rivers that criss-cross the land. For centuries, tales of these malevolent spirits have haunted the Highlands, a reminder of the perils that lie hidden in the still waters. In Scottish legend, the Kelpie most often takes the form of a beautiful black horse, its mane dripping with water. It appears gentle, even inviting, standing by the loch side, waiting for a traveller to mount its back. But the moment that they do, the Kelpie's true nature is revealed as it plunges into the depths, dragging its rider down into the cold, dark waters, never to be seen again. Many who encounter the Kelpie are said to fall under its spell, enchanted by its beauty and grace. But this is a deadly illusion, a trap set by the spirit to lure its victims into the loch's dark embrace. The tale of the Kelpie serves as a stark warning, a reminder to respect the lochs and rivers, and to be wary of their hidden dangers. But the Kelpie is not just a horse, it's a shapeshifter, capable of taking many forms to achieve its sinister ends. In some stories, the Kelpie appears as a beautiful woman, her long hair wet and flowing, her voice as soothing as the ripples on the loch. She sings to those who wander too close, drawing them in with her song, before pulling them under, where they are lost forever in the loch's cold embrace. The Kelpie is a fascinating figure in Scottish mythology, representing the untamed power of nature, particularly water. Water has always been a double-edged sword in Scotland. Essential for life, but also a force of destruction. The Kelpie embodies that duality, reminding us that nature, while beautiful, can also be dangerous and unforgiving. The Kelpie's legend is deeply rooted in the Scottish landscape, a reflection of the people's relationship with the environment. In a land where water is both a giver and taker of life, the Kelpie is a personification of the dangers that lie within the natural world. The fear of the Kelpies has left its mark on the culture and traditions of Scotland. In some communities it is customary to avoid certain lochs after dark, and to offer small tokens or prayers to appease the spirits of the water, hoping to keep the Kelpies at bay. Today, the Kelpie remains a powerful symbol in Scottish folklore, a reminder that beneath the beauty of the Highlands lies the wilderness that cannot be tamed, where ancient forces still hold sway, and where the line between myth and reality is often blurred. The Scottish Highlands, a land of untamed beauty, where ancient mountains rise against the sky and deep forests whisper with the secrets of the past. But as night falls, the beauty and the landscape takes a darker hue, for the Highlands are also home to creatures of legend, beings that emerge from the shadow, drawn by the scent of blood. Among them is the Banshee, a vampire spirit that preys on the unwary, luring them to their doom with beauty and grace. In the remote and isolated Highlands, the Banshee is a creature of nightmares, often described as a stunningly beautiful woman dressed in green. Her appearance both enchanting and otherworldly. But beneath this alluring exterior lies a deadly predator. One that feeds not with fangs, but with long, sharp nails that can slice through flesh as easy as a knife through butter. According to legend, the Banshee appears to travellers and hunters in the wild, offering them warmth and comfort in the cold, lonely night. She dances with them, sings to them, drawing them ever closer, until they are within her grasp. Then, with a flash of her nails, she strikes, draining the life from her victim before disappearing into the night, leaving only a bloodless corpse behind. In the Highlands, where the nights are long and the winters harsh, tales of the Banshee have served as warnings to those who travel alone. The legend is deeply rooted in the fears of isolation and the unknown, embodying the dangers that lurk in the wilderness, waiting for those who let their guard down. It was many years ago, when I was just a lad. My father used to tell us stories of the Banshee, how she would come for those who strayed too far from home, or those who were too proud to heed the warnings of the old folk. One night, my uncle, a hunter, went out into the forest alone. He never came back. We found him the next morning, lying cold and still, his face as pale as the moon, but with not a drop of blood left in him. The elders said it was the Banshee who took him, drawn by his boldness, by his defiance of the old ways. The Banshee is more than just a ghost story. She is a manifestation of the Highlanders' relationship with the land. A land that is both beautiful and deadly, where survival depends on respect for the old traditions and a keen awareness of the dangers that lie beyond the firelight. In some stories, the Banshee can be driven away by the coming of dawn, or by invoking the name of a saint. But more often than not, those who encounter her are not so fortunate. For the Banshee is a creature of the night, a predator born of darkness, and those who fall under her spell rarely live to tell the tale. The legend of the Banshee is a reminder that even in a land as beautiful as the Highlands, there is darkness. A darkness that takes many forms, and that has shaped the lives and the stories of the people who call this place home. The Banshee, with her deadly beauty and her thirst for blood, is one of the most haunting figures in Scottish folklore, a symbol of the dangers that lie hidden in the shadows of the past. Far to the north, where the sea meets the sky in an endless horizon, lie the Shetland Islands. Remote, windswept, and steeped in ancient tradition. Here, in this land of wide open spaces and long quiet nights, lives a creature unlike any other in Scottish folklore. It is neither monster nor man, but something in between. A being known as the Wulver. The Wulver is a solitary creature, often described as having the body of a man and the head of a wolf. But unlike the fearsome werewolves of other legends, the Wulver is not a cursed or malevolent being. Instead, it is a gentle spirit, known for its kindness and its desire to help those in need. The Wulver is said to live alone in a simple cave, often found fishing in the lochs and rivers of Shetland. It is a creature of habit, following the rhythms of the natural world, living quietly alongside the people of the islands without ever seeking to harm them. In fact, the Wulver is known to be a friend of those in need. According to local legend, it would often leave fish on the windowsills of poor families, ensuring that no one in the village went hungry. This act of quiet generosity has earned the Wulver a place of respect and affection. The Wulver was always there, in the background, watching over us. My grandmother used to tell me that if we were ever in trouble, the Wulver would help us. Even if we never saw him, he was a part of our world, just as much as the sea and the sky. And while we never took him for granted, we knew he was always there for us, quietly making sure we had what we needed. The Wulver's cave, known as the Wulver's Hool, is said to be a place of solitude, where the creature finds peace in the isolation of the wild. It is here where the Wulver lives out its days, fishing, watching, and quietly helping those in need. The Wulver's gentle nature and its connection to the natural world have made it a symbol of the harmony that can exist between humans and the mysterious forces that inhabit the earth. In a world filled with dark and dangerous creatures, the Wulver stands apart as a beacon of kindness and compassion. It is a reminder that not all spirits are to be feared, and that even in the most remote and rugged places, there is room for goodness and generosity. The Wulver's story has endured for generations, passed down through the oral traditions of the Shetland people. And while sightings of the Wulver may have become rarer with the passing of time, the legend remains. The Banshee, in Irish, meaning woman of the fairy mounds, is one of the most feared and revered figures in Irish folklore. She is not a malevolent spirit, but her presence is a forewarning, a sign that death is near, and that one of the old families is about to lose a member. According to legend, the Banshee appears only to the families of ancient Irish bloodlines, those whose name begin with an O or Mac. Her wail is a cry of sorrow, a lament for the soon-to-be departed. It is said that if you hear the Banshee's cry, it means that death is close, and that nothing can be done to change what is to come. The Banshee is often described as a woman of ethereal beauty, with long flowing hair and eyes red from weeping. She wears a grey or white cloak, and her appearance varies. Sometimes she is young and fair, other times she is an old crone, her face lined with sorrow. But no matter her form, her presence is always a portent of death. For centuries, the Banshee has been a figure of both fear and respect in Irish culture. Her cry is not meant to harm, but to warn, to give the living time to prepare for the loss that is to come. In this way, the Banshee is seen as a protector of sorts, a guide who helps souls transition from this world to the next. My grandmother used to tell us that the Banshee only cries for those she loves, for those who are worthy of her mourning. It's said that she weeps because she cannot change what is to come, only warn us of it. I've heard her cry once, many years ago, and I'll never forget it. The sound of a mother grieving for her child, of a soul that knows its time has come. The origins of the Banshee are as old as Ireland itself, rooted in the ancient Celtic belief of fairy folk. These supernatural beings were said to live in a parallel world, existing alongside humans, but rarely seen. The Banshee, however, crosses that boundary. Her presence is a bridge between the living and the dead. The Banshee is closely associated with these fairy mounds, which are said to be the homes of the fairy folk. It is said that the Banshee emerges from these mounds when she is called upon to mourn the impending death of a member of the old families. Her wail is not just for the individual, but for the loss of life itself, a reminder of the fragility of her existence. But the Banshee's cry is not the only way it communicates. In some regions of Ireland, she is said to appear before a death. Her presence felt even before the wail is heard. Doors may open and close on their own, candles may flicker and die, and the sound of rustling leaves or tapping on the windows may herald her arrival. These signs are subtle, but unmistakable for those who know the legend. In some tales, the Banshee is seen washing the blood-stained clothes of those who are about to die, a practice that has earned her the name Biniye, or washerwoman. This image of the Banshee at the river, scrubbing the garments of the doomed, is one of the most haunting in all of Irish folklore, a figure of sorrow and inevitability, tending to the final preparations before death claims its due. The Banshee's connection to water, particularly rivers and streams, is significant. In many cultures, water is seen as a boundary between worlds, a place where the living and the dead can meet. The Banshee's presence at those crossings underscores her role as a guide for the soul, a being who stands at the threshold between life and death. Even today, in modern Ireland, the legend of the Banshee endures, a symbol of the deep connection between the living and the dead, and the power of ancient belief in a world that is constantly changing. For the Banshee, death is not an end, but a transition, a passage from one realm to another, guided by the mournful cry of a spirit who has walked these lands for centuries. To hear the Banshee's cry is to be touched by the ancient forces that have shaped Ireland's history. A reminder of the power of the past and of the mysteries that still linger in the land. The Banshee's wail is a sound that has echoed through the ages, and it will continue to be heard as long as there are those who remember the old ways. In the depths of the Irish night, when the wind howls and the sky is split by lightning, the Dullahan rides. A spectral figure from the darkest corners of Irish folklore. The Dullahan is a harbinger of death. A headless horseman who roams the countryside. His presence is a sure sign that death is near. The Dullahan is one of the most terrifying beings in Irish mythology. He rides a black horse, sometimes accompanied by a black carriage known as the costibure, or silent coach, drawn by 4 to 6 black horses. Wherever he stops, a soul is taken from this world to the next. The Dullahan's head is said to be his most fearsome weapon. With it, he can see across vast distances, and it is with his head that he calls out the name of the one who is doomed to die. Once the Dullahan has spoken your name, there is no escape. Your fate is sealed. According to legend, when the Dullahan rides through a village, all doors and windows burst open, even if they're locked, as if compelled by an unseen force. The Dullahan has no need for words. His presence alone is enough to strike terror into the hearts of those who hear him. And when he calls out a name, it is said that no human power can stop the death that will follow. The Dullahan is not a mere spectre. He is a force of nature, an embodiment of death itself. His presence is felt most keenly among the old noble families of Ireland, who believe that he came to claim the souls of those whose time has come, regardless of wealth or status. In some versions of the legend, the Dullahan wields a whip made out of a human spine, which he uses to lash out at anyone who dares to look upon him. The whip is said to strike with deadly accuracy, ensuring that the Dullahan is never interrupted in his grim task. Despite his terrifying appearance, the Dullahan is not a malevolent figure in the traditional sense. He does not seek to cause suffering beyond his role as a harbinger of death. In some ways, he is seen as a necessary force, a reminder that death comes for all, and that no one can escape their fate. The Dullahan's legend has endured for centuries, a chilling reminder of the inevitability of death and the mystery of what lies beyond. In modern times, it has inspired countless stories and adaptations, from literature to film. Yet the core of the legend remains unchanged. A headless horseman, riding through the night, heralding the end for those whose time has come. In the wild and remote corners of Ireland, where the land is as ancient as the stories that have shaped it, there exists a creature of legend known for its trickery and shape-shifting abilities. The Puca, a spirit of the natural world, is a being that can carry both fortune and mischief to those who cross its path. The Puca is one of the most feared and respected creatures in Irish folklore, known for its ability to take many forms. Often, it appears as a dark, majestic horse, its eyes gleaming with a mischievous light. But the Puca is a master of disguise. capable of transforming into a goat, a hare, a dog, or even a human. Each form more deceptive than the last. For centuries, the Puca has been both feared and revered across Ireland. In some stories, it is a malevolent force, leading travellers astray, causing chaos, and bringing misfortune to those who dare to cross it. But in others, the Puca is a benign spirit, offering help to those in need, or bringing a bountiful harvest to farmers who show it respect. The Puca's dual nature makes it one of the most complex figures in Irish mythology. It is neither entirely good nor entirely evil, but something in between. A creature that embodies the unpredictable and wild aspects of nature itself. In the countryside, it is said that you must always be wary of the Puca, for you never know whether it comes to help or to harm. My father used to tell me stories about the Puca. He'd say that on certain nights when the moon was full, the Puca would come down from the mountains, taking the form of a great black horse. If you were foolish enough to try and ride it, it would carry you off at a wild gallop, across the fields, through rivers, and over cliffs, never stopping until dawn. Then it would throw you into a ditch, leaving you bruised and battered, with nothing to show for it but a lesson learned the hard way. But the Puca is not always a creature of chaos. In some regions, it's believed that the Puca can bring prosperity and good fortune, particularly to farmers who leave out offerings for the spirit. In return, the Puca ensures that the crops will grow tall and the livestock are healthy, a fair trade for a little respect. The Puca's connection to the land is profound, reflecting the deep relationship between the people of Ireland and the natural world. In a land where the weather can change in an instant, and where the forces of nature are both feared and revered, the Puca is a reminder of the power and unpredictability of the environment. In some stories, the Puca takes form of a large black dog, a creature both ominous and protective. It is said that those who see the Puca in this form must be careful not to provoke it. For while the Puca can be a guardian, it can also become a fierce adversary if disrespected. The Puca is fascinating because it represents the duality of nature. It can be a force for good or ill, depending on how it's treated and the circumstances of the encounter. The Puca's shape-shifting abilities also speak to the idea that nothing is ever quite what it seems. It's a reflection of the Irish landscape itself, beautiful, but with a wild, untamed spirit. The Puca is a creature of mystery, a spirit that defies easy understanding. It embodies the wildness of the Irish landscape and the unpredictability of the natural world. Whether it comes as friend or foe, the Puca remains one of the most enduring and intriguing figures in Irish folklore. A symbol of the ever-changing, ever-present forces that shape our world. In the heart of Ireland's rolling green hills, where the land is rich with history and myth, there lives a creature of legend known to all, the Leprechaun. Often depicted as a small bearded man dressed in green, the Leprechaun is a figure of both charm and cunning, a symbol of Ireland's folklore and the elusive nature of fortune. The Leprechaun is a solitary fairy, known for his love of mischief and his skill as a shoemaker. According to legend, each leprechaun guards a pot of gold, hidden at the end of a rainbow. But catching a leprechaun and claiming his treasure is no easy task. For the leprechaun is a master of trickery, always one step ahead of those who try to outsmart him. Leprechauns are said to be the descendants of the Tuatha Dé Danann, the ancient gods of Ireland who were driven underground by invading forces. Over time, these once mighty beings shrank in stature and power, becoming the fairies of Irish legend. The leprechaun, with his keen wit and love of gold, is one of the most enduring of these fairies, embodying the spirit of cleverness and resourcefulness. Leprechauns are renowned for their craftsmanship, particularly their skill in making shoes. It is said that you can hear the leprechaun before you see him, the sound of his hammering echoing through the hills as he works. But beware, if you hear that sound and manage to catch a glimpse of the leprechaun, he will try to distract you with riddles and tricks. If you lose sight of him, even for a moment, he will vanish, taking his treasure with him. There are countless stories of those who have tried and failed to outwit the leprechaun. One of the most famous tells of Seamus O'Toole, a farmer who captured a leprechaun and demanded to know where his gold was hidden. The leprechaun pointed to a tree in a field, but when Seamus returned with a spade, he found that every tree in the field had red ribbon tied to it, making it impossible to find the right one. The leprechaun had tricked him once again. Seamus thought he had the little fella, thought he was clever enough to get his hands on that gold. But the leprechaun is always 2 steps ahead. You can't outsmart a leprechaun. He'll have you chasing your tail before you know what's happened. And that's the way it's always been. The leprechaun's love for gold and his cunning nature have made him a symbol of the elusive pursuit of wealth. In a land where fortune is often hard won, the leprechaun represents both the possibility and the futility of chasing after riches. His treasure, always just beyond reach, serves as a reminder that true wealth is not easily attained, and that the journey is often more important than the destination. For the people of Ireland, the leprechaun is more than just a fairy tale. He is part of the cultural fabric, a figure that embodies the wit, humour and resilience of the Irish spirit. Though he may be elusive, the leprechaun's presence is felt in the stories passed down through generations, stories that continue to inspire both young and old. The leprechaun's legend has endured for centuries, a testament to the power of storytelling and the enduring appeal of a good trickster tale. The leprechaun remains one of the most beloved and iconic figures in Irish folklore. A small but mighty spirit who reminds us that in a game of life, a little wit and humour can go a long way. In Irish folklore, few tales are as unsettling as that of the Changeling, the child that is not what it seems. Legend tells of fairies who steal human infants, leaving behind a substitute, a being from their own world. These changelings, though they look like ordinary children, carry with them a sense of dread, an unnatural presence that haunts those who care for them. The belief in changelings was more than just a story. It was a way to explain the unexplainable. In times where illness or developmental changes struck without warning, parents sometimes saw these tragedies as the work of fairies who had replaced their healthy child with a sickly or strange imposter. There was a family in our village, blessed with a beautiful baby boy. But as the weeks passed, the child grew weak and distant. The old woman whispered of fairies, saying that the child wasn't theirs anymore, but a changeling. The mother tried everything, but in the end, our child was lost to her forever. These stories were rooted in deep fears, the fragility of life, the mystery of illness, and the fear of losing a child to forces beyond human control. The Changeling legend provided a way to comfort these fears, offering a narrative to explain the pain of watching a loved one change into something unfamiliar. Desperate parents sometimes resorted to harsh methods to reveal a changeling's true nature. Rituals that could be both cruel and tragic. These practices reflect the lengths to which people would go, driven by love, fear, and the desperate need to restore their world to what it once was. Changelings represent a very human response to the unknown. They embody our fears of which we cannot control, whether it's a sudden illness or the loss of a child. But they also show how people use stories to make sense of their world, to find meaning in the midst of uncertainty. While the belief in changelings has faded over time, the stories remain, reminding us of the past where the line between the natural and the supernatural was thin. The changelings serve as a symbol of our deepest fear, of loss, of change, and of the unknown. In the quiet corners of the English countryside, where the old ways linger and the night seems to breathe with a life of its own, there are stories of unseen spirits that inhabit the darkest corners of homes. These spirits are known as Boggarts, mischievous and often malevolent creatures that delight in causing chaos and fear. Boggarts are deeply rooted in the folklore of northern England, particularly in Lancashire and Yorkshire. They are said to be spirits that attach themselves to a place, often an old house or a specific room, where they make their presence known through a series of unsettling pranks. These pranks range from the mischievous, such as hiding household objects, to the outright terrifying, like creating strange noises, knocking over furniture, or even whispering in the dark. The presence of a Boggart is often subtle at first. Small things go missing, odd noises echo through the night, but as time passes, the spirit's tricks become more malevolent. In some tales, Boggarts are even known to physically harm the inhabitants, pinching them in their sleep or pulling the bedclothes off during the night. The sense of dread grows as the family realises they are not alone. I remember the stories my grandmother used to tell. She always said you should never speak of the Boggart by name, or it will grow stronger. And if you ever tried to leave the house that was haunted by a Boggart, it would follow you. No matter where you went, that mischievous spirit would find you, and its tricks would only grow worse. One of the most unsettling aspects of the Boggart is its persistence. Unlike other spirits, the Boggart is said to follow those who try to flee its influence. No matter how far the family moves, the Boggart remains with them, a constant reminder of the unseen forces that lurk just beyond the edge of the known world. Over time, the Boggart's tricks can drive a family to the brink of despair. Some tales suggest that the only way to rid a house of a Boggart is to confront it directly, acknowledging its presence and making peace with it, or in some cases, tricking it into leaving by outsmarting the spirit. But this is easier said than done, for Boggarts are cunning and unpredictable, thriving on the fear they create. The Boggart is a reminder of the thin line between the ordinary and the supernatural, a spirit that embodies the fears and uncertainties of the unknown. It is a creature born of the shadows, feeding on the anxieties of those who live in its domain. In the end, the Boggart is not just a mischievous spirit, but a reflection of the darkness that can dwell even in the most familiar of places. In the shadowed streets of Victorian England, where the fog clings to the alleys and the night conceals countless dangers, a figure emerged from the darkness. A figure so strange and terrifying that he became a legend in his own time. This is the story of Spring-Heeled Jack, the mysterious and elusive spectre who terrorised the night. Spring-Heeled Jack first appeared in London in the early 1830s, his presence marked by a series of shocking and bizarre attacks. Described as a tall, thin figure with glowing eyes, clawed hands, and a terrifying, leering grin. Jack was known for his incredible ability to leap great distances, clearing walls and rooftops with ease. His attacks were swift and brutal, often targeting young women who were left terrified by his sudden, inhumane appearance. Witnesses to these attacks were left in shock, describing Jack as a demon-like figure with a sinister laugh and the ability to breathe blue flames. The newspapers quickly picked up the story, and Spring-Heeled Jack became the talk of London, his legend spreading like wildfire through the city's crowded streets and alleys. The legend of Spring-Heeled Jack was fueled by the Victorian press, which eagerly published every report of his appearance, turning him into a figure of both fear and fascination. But as the story spread, so did the uncertainty about who or what Jack really was. Some believed he was a demon, others a prankster or a madman, while some even speculated that he was an otherworldly being, sent to punish the wicked or test the righteous. Despite numerous attempts to capture him, Spring-Heeled Jack always managed to evade his pursuers, leaping away with an ability that seemed almost supernatural. Over time he became less of a man and more of a myth, a figure who represented the fears and uncertainties of a rapidly changing society. In an era of industrialisation and urbanisation, Jack became a symbol of the unknown dangers lurking in the dark corners of the modern world. Spring-Heeled Jack's legend persisted through the 19th century, with sightings reported as far afield as Liverpool, Sheffield and even the Midlands. Each new account added to his mystique, with descriptions of his abilities growing more fantastical over time. Yet despite his notoriety, Jack was never caught, and his true identity, if he ever had one, remained a mystery. Public concern over Spring-Heeled Jack reached a fever pitch, with many calling on the authorities to capture the elusive figure. But despite the best efforts of the police and the vigilant public, Jack remained an enigma, his appearances growing sporadic until they eventually ceased altogether. Yet his legend lived on, becoming part of the rich tapestry of English folklore. Spring-Heeled Jack is a fascinating figure because he embodies the fears and anxieties of a society in flux. In the 19th century, England was undergoing rapid changes: industrialisation, urbanisation, and the rise of the modern city. Jack represented the unknown dangers that came with these changes. The sense that the world was becoming a more dangerous and unpredictable place. To this day, the legend of Spring-Heeled Jack remains one of the most enduring mysteries of Victorian England. Was he a man, a monster, or something else entirely? The answer may never be known, but his story continues to captivate the imagination. A chilling reminder of the shadows that lurk just beyond the edge of the known world. In the shadowed depths of Windsor Forest, where the ancient oaks have stood for centuries, and the air is thick with history, there is a tale of a ghostly figure who haunts these woods. A figure known as Herne the Hunter. With his antlered helm and spectral form, Herne is said to appear in times of great peril, a harbinger of doom and a guardian of the forest. Herne's legend dates back to the time of King Richard II, when he was said to be the king's favourite huntsman. The story goes that Herne saved the king's life during a hunt by slaying a great stag, but in doing so, he was mortally wounded. To save him, a mysterious figure, often said to be a wizard or druid, attached the stag's antlers to Herne's head, reviving him, but binding him to the forest for eternity. Though Herne was saved, he was forever changed. Banished from the king's court, he retreated into the depths of Windsor Forest, where he became a spectral figure, cursed to wander the woods for all eternity. It is said that Herne appears on stormy nights, leading a ghostly hunt through the forest, his hounds baying and his antlers gleaming in the darkness. Herne the Hunter is often seen as a guardian of the forest, protecting it from those who would do it harm. Yet his appearance is also a sign of impending disaster, a warning that something is deeply amiss. Over the centuries, Herne's legend has grown, with sightings reported during times of national crisis or when Windsor Forest is under threat. Many have claimed to have seen Herne, particularly those who dared to trespass in his woods, or who sought to exploit the forest's resources. His appearances are often accompanied by strange occurrences: trees swaying without the wind, animals fleeing in terror, and the eerie sound of a hunting horn echoing through the night. For those who encounter him, Herne is a reminder of the ancient power that still resides in these woods, a force that demands respect and reverence. My father used to tell me that if you heard the horn in the woods at night, you'd best turn back. Herne only hunts those who threaten the forest, and his wrath is not something any man should face. They say he's the spirit of the woods himself, a guardian who will stop at nothing to protect his domain. Herne the Hunter's legend endures, a powerful reminder of the ancient bonds between the land and its protectors. In an age when the natural world is often taken for granted, Herne stands as a symbol of the old ways, a spirit who embodies the wild and untamed heart of the forest. He is both a guardian and a harbinger, a figure who reminds us that nature, though often silent, is never truly passive. In the shadowed ruins of ancient castles, where the stones still echo with the cries of the fallen, there lurks a creature as old as the bloodshed that stains the earth. This is the Redcap, a malevolent goblin, known for his cruelty and insatiable thirst for blood. In the borders between England and Scotland, his legend endures, a reminder of the violence that once gripped this land. The Redcap is said to haunt the ruins of castles, particularly those with a history of violence and bloodshed. He is a small, twisted creature with sharp claws, iron boots, and a cap stained red with the blood of his victims. According to legend, the Redcap must kill regularly to keep his cap wet, for if it dries out, he will perish. This need for blood makes him a relentless and terrifying presence, feared by all who venture too close to his lair. Travellers who take refuge in the ruins often speak of the eerie feeling that comes over them at nightfall, the sense of being watched, the cold that seeps into their bones, and the inexplicable fear that grips their hearts. It is said that the Redcap delights in tormenting those who trespass on his domain, using his supernatural speed and strength to hunt them down before they can escape. The unlucky few who encounter him never live to tell the tale, their blood used to refresh his cap, ensuring his continued existence. Redcaps are not just mindless killers. They are intelligent and cunning, capable of laying traps for their victims, and using the ruins to their advantage. They are often associated with the darkest aspects of human nature: greed, betrayal, and violence, feeding off the energy of places where such deeds have been committed. In this way, the Redcap is more than just a creature of folklore. He's a manifestation of the lingering evil that haunts these old battlegrounds. There's many a tale of the Redcap passed down from old times. They say he's as quick as lightning, and there's no escape when he sets his sights on you. His cap, it's not just red, it's soaked in the blood of those who crossed his path. My grandfather used to warn me never to go near the old ruins after dark, for that's when the Redcap comes out to hunt. Though the Redcap is a creature of legend, his story serves as a cautionary tale, a warning of the dangers that lie in the places steeped in violence and death. The ruins of castles, once sites of power and glory, have become haunted by the ghosts of the past, with the Redcap as their most feared inhabitant. His presence is a reminder that some evils never truly die, but continue to stalk the land, waiting for the unwary to cross their path. In the quiet corners of Wales, where rivers wind through misty valleys, and the land holds its breath, there are tales of a creature that strikes fear into the hearts of those who live nearby. This is the Gwiber, a venomous serpent or dragon said to haunt the waterways and marshes. Its presence is a deadly secret, hidden within the serene landscape. The Gwiber is no ordinary serpent. It's a creature of legend, known for its venomous bite and its terrifying ability to fly. In some tales it's described as a dragon, with scales as hard as armour, and wings that can carry it swiftly through the air. It is said that the Gwiber guards the rivers and lakes of Wales, attacking those who dare trespass on its territory. The Gwiber's legend is deeply rooted in the rural communities of Wales, where the landscape itself seems to harbour ancient secrets. For generations, villagers have told stories of encounters with the Gwiber. Stories of cattle and sheep found dead with mysterious wounds, and of travellers who disappeared without a trace after venturing too close to the water. The Gwiber is seen as both a guardian and a terror, a creature that embodies the wild and untamed nature of the land. In some versions of the legend, the Gwiber is said to be a guardian of hidden treasures, hoarding gold and precious stones in its lair beneath the water. But these riches come at a high price, for the Gwiber's bite is deadly, and its wrath is fierce. Those who seek to challenge the Gwiber or claim its treasure is often met with a gruesome end, their bodies left to rot by the water's edge. There are tales of heroes who have attempted to slay the Gwiber, driven by the desire to protect their homes or to claim the creature's treasure. These stories often end in tragedy, for the Gwiber is a formidable foe, with scales that can deflect even the sharpest weapons, and a cunning that allows it to outwit its enemies. Yet in some rare cases, the villagers claim to have defeated the creature, driving it away or slaying it in fierce battle. But even then, the land bears the scars of the struggle. The legend of the Gwiber lives on, a reminder of the danger that still lurks in the wild places of Wales. The Gwiber's legend is a reflection of the deep connection between the people of Wales and the land they inhabit. It speaks to the fears and mysteries that have always been part of rural life. The sense that the natural world, for all its beauty, can also be a place of danger and death. The Gwiber is more than just a creature of myth. It's a symbol of the wild forces that shape the landscape, forces that can never be fully tamed. In the remote and misty valleys of Wales, where the mountains rise high and the lakes are as old as the earth itself, there are tales of a creature that lurks in the depths. A creature feared for its power. This is the Afanc, a monstrous beast said to inhabit the lakes of Wales, where it wakes in the darkness, ready to strike. The Afanc is a creature of many forms, with some describing it as a giant beaver or crocodile, while others see it as a demon or a dragon. No matter its shape, the Afanc is a creature of immense strength and ferocity, known for dragging people and animals into the water, leaving nothing but ripples in its wake. In some tales, the Afanc's wrath is so great that it can cause floods, destroying entire villages in its fury. The legend of the Afanc is one of power and terror, a reflection of the deep respect the Welsh people have for the natural world and its unpredictable forces. In some versions of the tale, the Afanc is a creature of the other world, brought to the mortal realm by dark magic or the anger of the gods. Once here, it becomes a force of destruction, lashing out at those who dare to disturb its watery home. In many tales, the Afanc is not content to remain hidden beneath the water. It is said to venture onto land, dragging its victims back to the lake with a strength that no human can resist. The creature's lair is deep and dark, a place where the light of day never reaches, and where the bones of the unwary lie scattered on the lake bed. Throughout history, There have been those who try to defeat the Afanc, hoping to rid the villages of this terror. These heroes are often depicted as warriors or wizards, armed with the weapons forged by magic or blessed by the gods. Yet the Afanc is no ordinary beast. It takes more than strength or courage to defeat it. In some tales, the creature is lured from its lair by a maiden's song, while in others it is trapped by cunning and trickery. The battle with the Afanc is often a battle of survival, not just for the warrior, but for the entire community. In some stories, the creature is defeated, its body dragged from the lake and buried deep in the mountains, where it can no longer harm the living. But in other tales, the Afanc escapes, returning to the depths of the lake where it waits for the next unwary soul to venture too close. The legend of the Afanc is a powerful reminder of the dangers that lie hidden in the natural world, and of the deep connection between the people of Wales and the land they call home. It is a tale of fear and courage, of the battle between man and nature, and the enduring power of myth to shape our understanding of the world around us. The Afanc may be defeated, but its presence lingers in the dark waters of Wales, a symbol of the untamed forces that still roam the land. Beneath the rolling hills and ancient forests of Wales lies a world shrouded in darkness, where the air is thick with dust and the walls echo with the sounds of pickaxes and hammers. It is here in the depths of the mines that the Coblynau make their home. Small gnome-like spirits, known for their connection to the earth and their influence over the fortunes of those who work within it. The Coblynau are said to be the spirits of the mines, guarding the riches hidden deep within the earth. They are small with wizened faces and large glowing eyes that allow them to see in the dark. Dressed in miners' clothing and often carrying tiny lanterns, the Coblynau are believed to possess knowledge of the earth's secrets, guiding miners to rich veins of ore or warning them of danger. To those who treat the earth with respect, the Coblynau can be helpful allies. Miners have long believed that these spirits can lead them to veins of precious metals, revealing the earth's hidden treasures to those who earn their favour. The appearance of a Coblynau's light, flickering in the darkness, is seen as a good omen, a sign that fortune is near. But the Coblynau are not always benevolent. They are also known to warn of impending disaster. Their presence is a sign that danger is near. Miners speak of hearing strange knocks and rumbles in the tunnels, sounds that grow louder as the Coblynau try to alert them to the threat of a cave-in or gas explosion. Those who ignore these warnings often do so at their peril, for the Coblynau's knowledge of the earth is unmatched, and their warnings are not given lightly. The Coblynau's warnings are respected by those who work in the mines, for these spirits have seen the earth's fury firsthand. In some tales, the Coblynau are the spirits of miners who perished in accidents long ago. Their souls are now bound to the mines they once worked. They are both guardians and harbingers, protecting the earth's riches, while reminding those who seek them of the dangers that lie below. The Coblynau, they are the old ones, the spirits of the earth. They know the mines better than any man, and if you listen, they'll guide you true. But if you don't heed their warnings, well, you'll find out the hard way. They're not to be taken lightly, those little folk. They've saved many a life, but they've also seen many lost. The legend of the Coblynau is a testament to the deep connection between the people of Wales and the land they inhabit. These spirits embody the mysteries of the earth, the hidden dangers and the untapped treasures that lie beneath the surface. To those who work within the mines, the Coblynau are both protectors and reminders. Beings who watch over the land and those who seek to uncover its secrets. The mines may be silent now, but the Coblynau remain, a part of the earth itself, forever guarding the dark, twisted tunnels where the light of day never reaches. In the ancient land of Dyfed, where the hills are alive with the echoes of the past and the forests are thick with secrets, there once lived a prince whose story would become one of the most enduring tales in Welsh mythology. This is the story of Pwyll, Prince of Dyfed, a tale of honour, magic, and the mysterious other world that lies just beyond the veil of our reality. Pwyll was a noble and just ruler, beloved by his people and known for his wisdom and bravery. But his life would be forever changed by a chance encounter that would lead him into the heart of the other world, a realm of magic and mystery where the laws of men held no sway. It all began during a hunt in the forest of Glencurch, where Pwyll pursued a stag deeper into the woods than he had ever gone before. As Pwyll rode deeper into the forest, he became aware of another presence, a figure on horseback, dressed in a strange otherworldly garb, also in pursuit of the stag. This was Aran, Lord of Annwn, the other world, a realm of spirits and gods. Aran confronted Pwyll, and instead of anger, he offered a pact. In exchange for sparing the stag, Aran asked Pwyll to take his place as ruler of the other world for a year and a day, to defeat a rival who threatened his realm. Pwyll agreed, and through a magical transformation, he took on his form and identity, becoming the ruler of the other world. Pwyll ruled wisely and justly, earning the respect and admiration of Aran's people. When the time came, Pwyll faced the rival in single combat, defeating him and securing peace for the other world. Pwyll's honour was such that he never betrayed the pact, remaining true to his identity, even when tempted by the Queen. When Pwyll returned to his own form and kingdom, Aran was so impressed by his honour and integrity that the two became close friends, exchanging gifts and maintaining an alliance between their realms. Pwyll's story did not end there. He later married Rhiannon, a woman of great beauty and mystery, who herself was connected to the other world. Together they faced many trials, including the loss and miraculous return of their son, who would go on to become a great ruler in his own right. Pwyll's life was a blend of the mortal and the magical, a testament to the deep connection between the world of men and the world of spirits in Welsh mythology.